Every time a new Pokemon game is released, it always seems to be the case that there is something included in the game that is meant to be unanswered. Some kind of lore or backstory or something to that effect will get introduced in the games, only for it to not really go anywhere or mean anything in the larger grand scheme of things as time goes on. This sort of thing happened in Pokemon Sword and Shield, which I covered in a previous video when the games came out, and as much as I love to dig into these types of unanswered questions, they're also really frustrating that they continue to pop up and continue to not provide any answers whatsoever. Well, you might have already guessed it, but there were indeed some more unanswered questions that have been introduced alongside the release of the Isle of Armor expansion for Pokemon Sword and Shield. So we're gonna see if we can't explore them a little bit, talk about what makes them so interesting and mysterious in the first place, and see if we can't hypothesize what these answers might actually be. One thing I do need to mention though before we get into it is that discussing these kinds of unanswered questions in Pokemon and really making videos like this in general wouldn't be possible without the support of people like today's sponsor, Ridge Wallet. Ridge Wallet is basically a wallet of the future that blows your standard typical everyday wallets out of the water. Not only can it hold up to 12 cards plus cash, but it does so while still being significantly smaller than your average wallet. After getting used to the design, I can definitively say that I love this thing and I would never go back to a regular wallet as long as I could help it. You don't just have to take my word for it though, as this thing has 30,000 5-star reviews, comes in over 30 colors and styles so you can pick the one that's right for you. It has RFID blocking technology to protect your credit card information. It has a lifetime warranty attached to it. Yes, that's right, I said lifetime, and it even comes with a 45-day money-back guarantee. If you don't completely love it, you can simply return it and get your money back. They're even offering 10% off and free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/hoops and entering code HOOPS at checkout. Link is in the description. If you need a really last-minute gift for Father's Day, this is honestly the perfect thing, and your dad is seriously going to thank you for it, I promise you. Thank you so much to Ridge for sponsoring the channel. Their support really does help me to bring videos like this to all of you guys, so be sure to show them some love and check them out with the link in the description. Okay, so this first one is a biggie because it's actually the thing that inspired this entire video, and that would be Mustard's cryptic message. Consider this your spoiler warning though before we go any further, because I will be talking about some plot-heavy details for the Isle of Armor that could spoil you if you haven't played it, so keep that in mind. But with that out of the way, at the end of the Isle of Armor's story, when you finally defeat Mustard for the final time, the entire dojo gathers together in a group, and Mustard congratulates you on completing your training. He then goes on to ask that you come back and battle him again from time to time, which reveals that you're able to rematch him, but it's what he says from here that becomes extremely cryptic and is the subject of this first unanswered question. Mustard says that if you come back and battle him again, it'll make you both stronger. That way you'll both be ready for when the time comes. Your player character will become somewhat surprised at this statement before Mustard says not to worry about it because you will figure out what he's talking about eventually, before he abruptly changes the subject and the story of the Isle of Armor DLC at that point comes to a proper end. Except the problem is, at least as far as I can tell, we never got the chance to figure out what Mustard was talking about. It seems to be the case that this will be the type of thing that we will get an answer to eventually, because he did say that we will find out eventually, but it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to find out in the Isle of Armor expansion because no further details about this, once again as far as I could find, are there for the taking. One possibility is that it might actually have something to do with the Crown Tundra expansion. I have hypothesized myself previously about whether or not the two parts of the Sword and Shield expansion will actually connect to each other in any way, whether it be story or otherwise, and it seems like this cliffhanger, if you will, might actually be the thing that connects the two, because we might find out the answer to this question in the second part of the DLC that comes out this fall. The Crown Tundra definitely does seem to be a little bit more beefy comparatively with all of the legendaries and whatnot that it has to offer, so maybe we will find out and maybe we will get a resolution to this, but there's just no way of knowing for sure with how cryptic and how little detail we have about this situation. It might even have something to do with the next main installments of this generation, whether that be Diamond and Pearl remakes or something else, but for now we're just gonna have to sit and wait and wonder about what this possible threat and concern could really be. Over the course of the Isle of Armor expansion, Mustard really did prove to be somewhat of a mysterious character, because this next entry also has to do with him as well, more specifically his backstory. After defeating Mustard at the end of the Isle of Armor's story, he will present you with his rare League card, and the League cards from time to time can actually provide interesting details about the characters they portray, and in Mustard's case, it's an actual literal gold mine in terms of those interesting details. Amongst other things, his League card states that he became champion of the Galar region about 50 years ago, and ended up retiring after the League chairman of the time actually asked him to win in a rigged match. These are some fascinating details to be sure, but when we combine them with some other information that we already have about Mustard, they create some interesting questions that once again, we do not have an answer to at this time. So if Mustard became champion of the Galar region 50 years ago, and we know thanks to information provided on the Sword and Shield website that he was champion for about 18 years before losing his title, that means he stopped being champion about 32 years before the events of Pokemon Sword and Shield take place. This naturally begs the question of who was the champion of the Galar region during that 32-year time frame between Mustard losing his title and Leon, the current champion at the time of Sword and Shield's events, gained his title. Furthermore, the identity of the League chairman that forced Mustard to retire is also in question as well. We know that he was a sketchy sort of figure to be sure, based on the fact that he asked Mustard to win a rigged match, but once again, we don't get any further details other than that. Could this chairman have been related to Chairman Rose in any way? We do know that Chairman Rose obviously was sketchy himself, as he ended up being the main villain of Sword and Shield, and this former League chairman definitely does seem to have some villain material of his own, so could they actually have some sort of connection? There's no way to really know for sure, and the identities of these former champions or this League chairman are unlikely to ever be revealed, but once again, it just poses such an interesting and mysterious question because it provides a fascinating glimpse into Galar's past, but unfortunately, it does not provide the whole picture. And for our final unanswered question that comes from the Isle of Armor, it concerns once again none other than Mustard, this time however focusing on his original partner Pokemon. Mustard's signature Pokemon in the game itself is of course Kubfu and then Urshifu when it evolves, but it does not seem that this was always the case. Once again, according to Mustard's rare League card, it states that once he was champion, he reigned undefeated, quote, until he lost his partner Pokemon. Losing your partner Pokemon is obviously a big deal, but how exactly did it happen? It seems to imply in the text of the card that his partner Pokemon passed away, which is obviously a huge deal, but how exactly did it die if this is the case? It's possible that it could have just died of old age, considering that Mustard held the title of champion for 18 years, and if Pokemon are anything like animals, 18 years is a long time to live. Another option that definitely isn't any less sad is that his Pokemon was actually killed in some way. Obviously, this could happen a multitude of different ways, whether it be his Pokemon got sick, whether it was killed in a battle, or whether it was killed in an accident, each of which would obviously be absolutely devastating and would certainly be reasonable in terms of him losing his title of champion over it. And last but certainly not least, arguably the biggest question of them all is who exactly was this partner Pokemon? Was it a starter Pokemon, possibly one of the Galar starters, or was it someone else? Well, we do know thanks to Mustard's other league card that he was at one point a fighting type gym leader in the Galar region, so it's very possible, much like Kubfu, that his original partner Pokemon was also a fighting type, and could be one of the fighting types of the Galar region, such as Graplocked, Surfetched, Phalanx, or maybe even Gigantamax Machamp, similar to B as we see in the modern day Galar region. It becomes really tricky to narrow it down any further than that, however, and barring any further information or hints about the identity of this mystery Pokemon, we're just gonna have to keep guessing and theorizing as to who it could possibly be. I really hope we find this out, we probably never will, but either way, it's certainly a fascinating bit of backstory to one of the more interesting new characters from Pokemon that we have gotten in the 8th generation. And there you have it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and let me know your thoughts about all of these unanswered questions in the comments below, and if you have any possible theories about them. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet for way more Pokemon content, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you can check out my Pokemon remixes on Spotify and give my Pokemon Cardinal project a watch if you haven't yet. One more shout out to Ridge as well, be sure to check them out with the link in the description. Thanks once again to them for sponsoring this video, and with all of that being said, I will see you guys with another video on Tuesday, so make sure you hit the notification bell so you can be here for that. And with all of that being said, I hope you know I love you guys very much, and until the next one, as always, I will smell you guys later.